Shankaram Sivashankaram. In this video, we look at the history of one of the most iconic temples of Tamil Nadu, the Thiruvarur Tyagaraja temple. Later on, we move on to the history of the Devaram. The Tyagaraja temple is associated with many kingdoms of Tamil Nadu, the Cholas, the Pandyas, the Vijayanagaras, the Nayakas, and finally the Marathas. The structure of the temple. It is housed in a huge 33 acres of land with 9 Rajagopuras, 80 Vimanas, 7 Prakaras, 365 Shivalingas, which denote the 365 days of the year, and more than 100 shrines or 100 temples within this temple. So almost like a temple of temples. This temple complex, it represents Sri Chakra with the 7 Prakaras that I said about, representing the 7 layers of it. Now, before we move into the legends of this temple, it will be very interesting to understand the deities first, because most of the legends are associated with all these deities. So the Moolavar is Vanmikinadar, a linga. Now, where does Vanmikinadar come from? Where does the name come from? It comes from a Sanskrit word, Valmiki. It's just similar to Valmiki of Ramayana. He also got his name from that Sanskrit word only. So Valmiki means anthill, and Nadar means the Lord of. So Shiva, because he appeared in this anthill, he is called Vanmikinadar. He is considered to be a Prithvi Linga, just like the Kanchipura Linga, although this temple is not considered to be a Prithvi Kshetra. Now Sivashankar Baba, he says with conviction that there is a Manikanagam, or the energy of a Manikanaga housed in this linga. What is a Manikanaga? That is a snake which is not used its poison at all. So basically it's used its siddhi and never used its poison. So that poison has become a manikam, or a jewel. And the Manikanaga has got the power to absolve one of the most heinous of sins that he's committed. So similar to this temple, there are 2 other temples in the world that have got this Manikanaga. So one is the Tiruvattriyur Tyagaraja temple in Chennai, in Madras, and the other is the Kadirkama Murugar temple in Sri Lanka. So now moving on to the other deities of the Thiruvarur temple. So within the Vanmikanada shrine itself, there is Bhoga Shakti, an Ambal in a Tribhanga pose. The Tribhanga pose is nothing but the body bent in one direction and her hand is touching the earth. So basically she is also confirming that this is a Prithvi Sthala. I'll tell you one very important point later when we talk about the legends of Sundaramurti Nayanar in this temple about this Prithvi Kshetra. The Utsavar of this temple is Tyagarajar, the Vidhi Vidangar. And there is another Maragata Lingam which is kept very near the Tyagaraja. It's a very small emerald lingam that is kept in a box near the Tyagaraja. The Ambal is housed in a separate shrine which is a little far from this shrine, from the Vanmikinada shrine, but within the whole temple complex, and she is called Kamalambal. Her shrine is regarded to be a Shakti Peetham, and Muthuswami Dikshitar has sung a lot of songs about her. There is the Rahukula Durga as well in that shrine. The other Ambal is Neelotpalambal. Now Neelotpalam means blue lotus. So she is not really holding Muruga, but she has got an attendant holding Lord Muruga or Lord Skanda, and it's a very beautiful structure or beautiful idol where she is just holding the head of, or she's touching the head of Lord Muruga. There are 4 other shrines here which are basically in the 4 cardinal points of the main shrine of the Vanmikanada shrine. So one is the Atakeshwara. They are basically Shivalingas, Atakeshwara, Anandeshwara, Siddhishwara and Achaleshwara. There are 2 other lingas, very interesting names. One is Rana Vimochana Lingam, which is basically, Rana means what? Like a battlefield or wound. So he relieves you of any wounds, any injuries. And Runa Vimochana Lingam. Runa in Sanskrit means debt. So Vimochana, removal of debt. So you can pray to those lingas, one for absolving from injuries and one is to relieve yourself of any debts. There are other shrines like Hayagriva and Saraswati, different shrines where you can actually go and pray for any studies. Then out of the 84 Vinayaka idols, there is one important, a very interesting idol of Vinayaka who's called Nadukkam Tirtha Vinayaka. So basically you can pray to him for any of your nervous problems or any nervous troubles that you want to be relieved from. Outside the temple, there is another Vinayaka, interesting name again, called Matru Uraitha Vinayaka. We will come to why he is called Matru Uraitha later on in this video. And another interesting part of this deity list is there are two Chandikeshwaras. So one is a normal Chandikeshwara who is there in every temple, every Shiva temple, and one is a Yama Chandikeshwara. So he is complaining to Ishvara that there is no work to do, since all here are Shivajnanas and no one actually, because the Aidigam or the belief in this temple is that whoever comes here is absolved of all his sins and he never goes to the Yamaloka. Now outside the temple is the famous Kamalayam tank, which we'll talk about a little later as well. What do people come here and pray for actually? So I've been saying all this while that this temple, they come here to remove all their sins. You get absolved of pretty much all your sins when you come here. They come and pray here at Rahukula Durga, Vanmikanadar, the Kamalambal, Nilotpalambal. I've said that they pray at Saraswati and Hayagriva for studies. They come here for any promotions, transfers, or for any boons like a child boon, prosperity, and finally to get salvation. Now let's move on to the legends associated with this temple. First is the Vanmikanadar appearance, or how did he come? From where did he come? Now the legend relates to Shiva appearing within this anthill. They say that he appeared from the Atakeshwara shrine and he appeared there, but then he finally came into the Vanmikanadar, into the anthill. So why was this anthill there in the first place? So long back, Vishnu gets a bow and he thinks that he's very mighty and all that. He starts scaring the Devas. So the Devas, they flee from him because they can't stand his might, and they finally come to Tiruvarur. The moment they land in Tiruvarur and Vishnu actually comes behind them, he loses his power. So in that plight, he is actually resting on his bow like this. So he's resting his head on the bow like this. So the Devas, they convert themselves into ants and they form an anthill. And now because he's resting, they gnaw at that bowstring. You know, in a bow, the string is what gives you that tension and that holds the bow together. So while they're gnawing, it cuts the string. And the bow, once it is snapped, the bow just does that and it severs or it cuts the head of Vishnu. Now the Devas, they finally realize that, oh no, the protector of the universe is gone, we have killed him, and they feel very sad because they are responsible for his death. So they pray to Lord Shiva that they want Lord Vishnu back, and Lord Shiva, as I said, he appears from the Atakeshwara shrine. He comes here and appears inside this anthill. That's why he is called Vanmikanadar. Now in Tamil, he is called Puttridam Kondan, because Putri, you know, is an anthill. Idam, where he came, he made that his place. What is very special about the Atakeshwara is that previously there must have been a linga, and there was a passage or an underground passage, as they called it. It's called Nagabila or Nagabila. And it seems it used to be the route to heaven. But Indra chose to close it. Now it could be for two reasons. One reason they say is because heaven got very congested, it seems, with people always going to heaven through this temple. The other, I feel, is because the Shiva has already come now to Vanmikanadar. He is basically the Atakeshwara Shivalinga only, the Shiva who is here. So why would he be there in Atakeshwara, which is same, again within the same temple complex. So now let's move on to the next legend, which is saving the Navagrahas. So again, long back, there used to be a demon called Satyagupta. and he was harassing the 9 planets, so the Navagrahas. So the Navagrahas come and they ask Shiva, or they pray to Shiva. They probably even have a curse, that's why this demon is behind them. So Lord Shiva tells them that if you are going to be benevolent to my devotees, then I will save you. And they say yes, they agree to that condition. So Lord Shiva helps them, he resolves them of their curse. So that's why the Navagrahas are standing in one line praying to the Lord. Very interesting legend. Legend 3 is about the Somaskanda legend. So what is Somaskanda, where it came from? So Vishnu, once he wanted a child and he prayed to Lord Shiva. And he got the child also, he got the boon that he will have a child called Kama. Now Parvati got very angry here because she said, you have prayed to Lord Shiva, you didn't allow me to participate in this prayer. So I curse you, I curse your child basically, that Kama will be burnt by Lord Shiva himself. So Vishnu is pretty sad, and he constitutes, so he creates an image called the Somaskanda image. So basically it is a composite image of Lord Shiva, Uma and Skanda, and that is what is denoted by this Tyagaraja image. So Tyagaraja signifies this Somaskanda. Now Parvati melts seeing this bhakti of Vishnu, and she says, okay fine, I can't absolve you of this curse is a curse, but what we can do is Kama will be the bridge or will be the attraction for between men and women. So you know Kama is the god of beauty, and he is that bridge, or he is that attractive magnet between men and women. Tyagaraja represents the Somaskanda manifestation of Shiva at Tiruvarur and few other shrines. So the Tyagaraja as Somaskanda has a separate shrine in most of the Saptavidanga temples, which I am coming to next. So legend 4 is the Vidhi Vidangar, one of the Vidangas of the Saptavidanga Sthalam. So what is a Vidanga and what happened? So Lord Vishnu, now you remember I said that he created the Somaskanda image. So possibly he created an actual linga. Now he didn't really create the Tyagaraja, but he would have created that linga. So the linga that he created, he takes it back and he goes back to the Parkadal, and he is in a yogic state like this, keeping the Vidanga or keeping that linga on his chest. Now he is praying, and at the same time there is a battle between the Asuras and the Devas. So one of the Asuras is basically harassing the Devas. So the Devas comes to, who else? Lord Indra will come to Vishnu, and he says, this guy is harassing me. So Vishnu gives Indra, he says, now you be the keeper of this particular idol and let me go and fight the Asura. So he goes and fights the Asura, he wins. Then after that there's one more Asura called Balasuran who comes, and again he is also harassing the Indra. So Indra again comes to Vishnu. Vishnu now says, you already have this linga with you. Now you take the help of Musukunda Chakravarti and he will help you. So he takes the help of Musukunda Chakravarti, who defeats Balasuran, and at that time Indra wants to obviously give him a gift. So he tells him that, okay, I will give you the linga that I have. Or he somehow sees it and he asks, what is this? And he says, okay, no, I want to take this to the earth. Who Musukunda Chakravarti says that. Now Indra wants to give it, but also does not want to give it, because he's promised that he'll give it. But you know, it is a linga from Vishnu, so he really does not want to part with it. So he tells Musukunda Chakravarti, don't worry, I'll give it to you tomorrow morning. Now by that time what he does is, he makes 6 other replicas of the same linga, and he calls it Vidanga. I'll come to the meaning in a few seconds. Now Musukunda Chakravarti comes to know about this, so he prays to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva as Tyagaraja comes in his dream or maybe appears before him and tells him, don't worry, tomorrow morning only, no, he's going to keep it. I will come and help you. I'll make some symbol or something on it, and you will easily identify the actual linga. So he comes, he identifies the actual linga, and that is the linga that is kept in Tiruvarur. All the others are kept in different temples around Tiruvarur, and that is why they are called Sapta Vidanga Sthalam. So what is Vidanga? Now in Sanskrit, Tanka means stone cutter's hammer or the chisel, you can say. So a V is without, so without being cut or without being chiseled. That is why it's called Vidanga. So that is the Vidanga that Vishnu first created, gave it to Indra, and then it came to Musukunda Chakravarti, who's housed it in Tiruvarur. So it's a small emerald lingam that is kept next to Tyagarajar. And the Abhisheka, if any, is done only for this linga. It is not done for any Tyagaraja or anything like that. The Sapta Vidangas have a name. So each Vidanga has got a name. Like the name in Tiruvarur is called Vidhi Vidanga. And not only that, there is something called Ajappa Natanam, or it's called a Natanam. So what do you mean by Natanam? Basically the Tyagaraja shrine, the Tyagaraja idol and the Maragata Linga is kept in a palki or a palanquin, and devotees carry that around the kshetra or around the temple complex, and they dance in a particular movement. So that is called a Natanam here. So similar to the Vidanga having a name, the Natanam also has a name. And it has got a significance also. That is, the name is according to that significance. For example, here in Tiruvarur, it is called Ajappa Natanam. Now you know what is Japa. Japa means chanting. So Ajappa means chantless or not chanting, or basically chanting in your mind, not chanting outside. Now what are they chanting, if you may ask? You know the breath that we breathe, we do 21,600 breath cycles. It actually says a mantra without us realizing. So when we breathe in, so, and we breathe out, hum. So sah, aham. Sah meaning that, the Supreme Self, and aham meaning me. So that means what? I am this self. So if we actually breathe, understanding those mantras that we are actually saying 21,600 times a day, then we will become one with that Supreme Being. I am that. Some others do a different kind of meditation, which is ahamsah or hamsah. So what is that meditation? So they consider that there is a white beam of light from the sky or from the Supreme Self down through your head, along the spine until the end of your spine. Now dwell in that and keep saying aham sah, aham sah. So it's just the opposite of soaham. That means I am that. And at one point you become one with that self. Now I'm not a yogic instructor, but this was just to tell you what it means, what Ajapa means. Now Hamsa has also been mentioned in the Upanishads, been mentioned in some of the slokas in Kabir Ki Dohe. Like for example, Om Paramahamsaya Vidmahe Mahatatvaya Dhimahi Tanno Hamsa Prachodayat. May we realize Hamsa, that is our own self as the swan. Let us meditate on that Paramahamsa, the Supreme Self. May Hamsa illumine us. So you say that is what I was saying when we meditate, when we breathe and we understand that Hamsa within us. Kabir is also said, saint of North India, said in his couplets, is Doha, Dwadasha Kamal Hriday ki Mahi, Sang Gaur Shiv Dhyan Lagai, Soham Shabd Taha Chai, Ganakarait Jaya Kar Hai. Means what? The Hridaya, the heart that has got 12 petal lotus sitting inside. Shiva and Gauri, Lord Shiva and Goddess Gauri sit in there and they are in meditation. So the Shabd of that place, or the Shabd means the word of that place, is Soham. And the Ganas or the attendants of Lord Shiva are praising the Lord there. So this is also said in other languages. Now why did I say about all this? So basically I was saying that the Natanam of Tyagaraja in the procession is the Ajappa Natanam. So that is why the procession, they actually, your breath goes up and down, up and down. So like that procession also, they carry the palki, they carry the palanquin up and down. So in this thalam, when you come here, it's basically you are supposed to dwell in that ajapa natanam. You're supposed to dwell in that breath. Then you go home and you do this meditation, and then you understand that you are one with that self. Now moving on to another legend, Manunidhi Chola. So there was a very just king. His name was Manu, and his son was going in a chariot around. And once he kills a calf. Now, one thing with this Manu is that outside in the courtyard, he had a bell where anyone, any citizen of that country, as they used to call it before, or of the state, could come and ring the bell. And the King Manu, the Chola King Manu, would give his justice in front of the entire audience. So the cow, the mother of the calf, actually comes there and shakes its horns and rings that bell. So this guy, the king, asks what is the problem, and he understands from his subjects that his son has killed his calf. So he tries and consults his minister. The minister says, okay, maybe you can absolve your sins, you can just pray to Lord Shiva. He's saying, no, that is not just. He gives a verdict that his son needs to be killed, the same way that the calf was killed. So he tells the minister to do that. The minister goes and commits suicide because he is unable to do this. So the king himself rides the chariot over his son and kills him. Then what happens, very miraculously, Lord Mahadeva, that is Lord Shiva, comes in front of them and says, you have been a very just king. You have killed your own son just because he killed a calf. He gives life to the calf, to the minister who committed suicide, and to his son. So even in memory of this incident, there is a Kal Ter. Kal means stone, Ter is the chariot, which is housed very near the Tyagaraja temple. So basically it's relating this incident, and it's also confirming the incident, confirming this episode. We'll move on to the next legend, which is lighting the lamp from water. So there was, the Achaleshwara shrine. There used to be a person called Naminandi Adigal, and he said to have made a lamp burn just out of water. So once when he was actually praying to the Lord Shiva in the shrine, he thinks, after praying, he thinks, no, I want to light a lamp. He's never done that before. So he thinks, I need ghee now. So what he does is, he goes to his neighbors, so some people around. Now they were the Jains. He goes and asks them actually for some ghee. But at that time there was a big conflict between the Jains and the Shaivites, and the Jains didn't like the Shaivites. He said, no, they said, I cannot give you ghee. You go and go light the lamp out of water. Now that really strikes him, and he says, okay, fine, let me go and pray to Lord Shiva. He goes back into the Achaleshwara shrine and prays very fervently to Lord Shiva. And suddenly he is able to light that lamp out of water. That's one of the miracles here. Another legend being giving eyesight to Dandi Adigal Nayanar. So Dandi Adigal was born blind in Tiruvarur, and once he wants to dig this Kamalalayam tank. So he's taking a spade and he's digging. Although he's blind, he's digging, taking the sand and then throwing it elsewhere. So the Jains who see him, they kind of taunt him. They say, first of all, you are actually killing the worms which are there in the sand. Plus, you are a blind person, and they keep on torturing and taunting him. So he's very sad, and then, he's still doing his work. They also take away his spade and then they throw it away. He goes home, basically he's very sad, and he sleeps that night. Then Lord Shiva comes in his dreams, suddenly gives him eyesight and takes away and plucks the eyesight of those Jains. So you see one other miracle that Lord Tyagaraja has done here. Now coming on to one of the very famous legends in this coil relating to Sundaramurti Nayanar. So Sundaramurti Nayanar is actually given some gold coins, about 12,000 gold coins, in a different temple, and basically in Virudhachalam temple. Now he tells Shiva, already I have got so much of gold, I cannot take this home like this. So I will put it in the Manimutta, you give it to me in Thiruvarur, in the Kamalayalam tank. So he puts it there, but then before he puts it, tells Shiva, how do I know that you will give me the same quality or the same gold? So Lord Shiva says, okay, you take one small piece and you go, and then we'll test it later. So he does that. Then he comes to Thiruvarur after some time, and he's asking Shiva for this. So first of all, he is quite depressed, because where will he go and search for this 12,000 gold coins in the tank? You know the tank is already so big. So suddenly he prays to Lord Shiva, and he gets all those 12,000 gold coins. But now he has to test the purity, right? Because he has to understand that it is the same gold. Yes, okay, he takes that piece. But you remember, I told you there was a Matru Urai Vinayakar. I told you when I was talking about the deities. So Matru Urai Vinayakar comes to his help, and he says, okay, he kind of rubs the gold and says, yeah, this is the same quality. So don't worry, it is the same thing. And that is how he gets all his gold coins here. So that is one more miracle that has happened here. Okay, so now let's come to the history of the song. Before we go into why he actually sung this song, we need to understand a small bit of what Sundaramurthy Nayanar, who Sundaramurthy Nayanar is and what he did. So Sundaramurthy Nayanar had a wife called Parvai Nachiyar in Thiruvarur, and when he goes towards Thiruvattruyur, because he is on his pilgrimage, he suddenly falls in love with someone called Sangli Nachiyar, and he wants to marry her. He marries her in Thiruvattruyur, but she's laid a condition that, okay, you can get married to me, but you should not go out of the border of Thiruvattruyur. Now he makes a false promise, basically in front of Lord Shiva, and he says that he will not go out. But then Lord Shiva teaches him a lesson, because he's broken the promise, and he plucks away his eyesight. He takes away his eyesight from both the eyes. And because he's already crossed Thiruvattruyur. Now why does he cross? Because he wants to come back to Thiruvarur. He's informed of the Thiruvarur temple, and also there's going to be a festival or a vira here, and he wants to attend that. That's why he wants to go back to Thiruvarur. So he goes then, obviously on the way to Thiruvarur, he has to cross so many temples. So he goes to Kanchipuram, he sings one song, Alamdan, and gets one of the eyes. So he gets the eyesight in the left eye. Then he goes to Tiruthuruthi. He sings Minnuma Megangal, because he's got some skin disease. He dips in the tank and he absolves himself, or he relieves himself of the skin disease. Now he finally comes to Thiruvarur and sings this very beautiful song, Meela Adimai. And Lord Shiva melts and gives him the eyesight in the right eye as well. So that is why he sings this song, because he wants to get the eyesight in the right eye. Now you remember when I was talking about the deities, I said that Vanmikinadar is also a Prithvi Linga. Now we'll try and connect the left eye and the right eye, the songs between that he sang and got the left eye, and the song that he sung, getting the right eye. You know, Kanchipuram is a Prithvi Sthala. So basically, Prithvi means what? Earth. And you know the body is made out of earth. So basically we are linked to that. So because it's a Prithvi Linga, he got one of the body parts. So it's everything linked to the body part. He got the eyesight in one of the eye. Now you remember that I said that Vanmikinadar is also a Prithvi Linga. Now do you understand the connection as to why he got the right eye here? Now, not that he could not have got it in Kanchipura, but these are two important Prithvi Sthalas, and you can also pray here for any of your body parts. Shankaram Siva Shankar.